Welcome back, Year 5. Today we're continuing our work on adding and subtracting decimals. You're going to notice in the workbook today the focus is mostly subtraction. Our learning intention is to use the column method to subtract decimals in the context of taking away or finding the difference. This will include examples where an exchange or regrouping is required. So basically we're subtracting. We know subtraction is either taking away or finding the difference between two numbers. Before we get into that though, let's get our brains warmed up. You probably realize by now I like to start with this place value chart, but it's so important that we get it drilled into our brains what each of these values is. So, take a moment to think about this. Which value on this place value chart is the smallest? Which value is the biggest? Well, the smallest is the hundredths, over to the right. And the largest is the hundreds, over to the left. And what's the relationship between these different places? Well, remember, each time we jump to the left, they get 10 times bigger. You need 10 of one place in order to move over to the next place to the left. And the reverse is true as well. If you're going to move to the right, each place gets 10 times smaller. So if I asked you which is bigger, 3/10ths or 3/100ths, what would you say? Well, if you're looking at the place value chart, you will know that 3/10ths are larger because a tenth is further to the left than a hundredth. You need 10 hundredths to make 1/10. With that in mind, can you do this warm-up activity? I want you to try to put these decimals in order from the smallest to the largest. Pay close attention to the place value. Pause the video for a moment and write down your answer, the smallest to the largest. Well, here's what you should have got. If you put these decimals in order from the smallest to the largest, your first number should be 0.07 or 7 hundredths. Remember, hundredths are very tiny. Then up from that, you would have 0.5 or 5/10ths, because 5/10ths is bigger than 7 hundredths. Then you would get 1.03. At this point, you now have a whole number with some parts. Why does 1.03 come before 1.3? Well, 1.03 comes first because 0.3 tells me that it's 3 hundredths. And remember, hundredths are smaller than tenths. And our next number up, 1.3, is 1 3/10ths. Finally, our last number is 2.6, and we know it's the biggest because it has two holes instead of just one. How'd you do? Did you get them right? Well, we can keep working on it. But now let's move into the textbook. Let me show you how I did the think together portion of today's lesson.
All right, so today we're going to start at the think together portion from the textbook. You can probably see it on the left-hand side of your screen right now. Question 1 says, a shop sells some socks and hats. How much cheaper is the hat than the socks? All right, so it wants me to calculate the difference in the price. Now, when I say that word difference, what do you think? That's right, subtraction. Let me illustrate what it would look like though. So I'm going to make a little number line. It's not straight, but I'm looking through the camera, that's my excuse. It's asking for the difference between the price of the hat and the price of the socks. So the hat costs £3 52 pence, whereas the socks cost £5 15 pence. For me to find how much cheaper this is, I'd have to see what's the difference between here and here. Or I could start here and jump backwards until I get here. Now I could do this on a number line, but personally I would rather use stacking. How could I use stacking to do this? Well, all I'm doing, since I'm finding the difference, is subtraction. So I would say, okay, what's £5 15 pence take away £3 52 pence? The difference is going to be the space in here. So let me subtract. 5 take away 2 is 3. 1 take away 5. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. So I'm going to steal from here. This turns to a 4. This becomes 11. Now I can do it. 11 take away 5 is 6. 4 take away 3 is 1. So the difference in price is £1 63 pence. So down here I'm going to write my final answer, £1 63 pence. And it would fit right into that section that says the hat is £1 63 pence cheaper than the socks. Now on to question 2. It says, write these as column subtractions and then complete them. Predict how many exchanges you will need to make. Okay, so for A, it says 37.5 take away 13.9. So before I write it as a column subtraction, let me predict how many exchanges I'll have to make. Okay, well, I'm going to use my decimal point to help me mark the places off. So I have the tenths and the tenths. So this would be 5 take away 9. I already know I can't do that because it's more on the floor. So I'd have to make at least one exchange. That just means I regroup. Then I have 7 take away 3. That I could do even if I steal 1 from the 7, and 3 take away 1 I can do. So I think I'm going to have one exchange. So I'm just going to put my prediction down here. One exchange. And again, that just means one time that I have to regroup. Let me work it out now and see what happens. 37.5 take away 13.9. All right, more on the floor, go next door. 7 becomes a 6, 5 becomes 15. 15 take away 9 is 6, put back my decimal point. 6 take away 3 is 3. 3 take away 1 is 2. So I was right, I only had one exchange, and I found my answer. Let's move on to the next one. 2.654, so this goes to the thousandths place, take away 1.375. I'm going to do the same thing again. Let me compare the different places. So I have 4 thousandths take away 5 thousandths. I can't do that, so I'm going to have to regroup. Then I have 5 take away 7. Again, I can't do that. I'd have to regroup again. 6 take away 3. Even if I steal from the 6 and it ends up being a 5, I can still do that. So I think that's fine. And 2 take away 1, I'll be able to do. So this looks like I'm going to have 2 exchanges. That's my prediction. Let me work it out now and see what it happens. 2.654 take away 1.375. Again, mine is crooked because I'm looking through a camera. I expect your book to look much nicer. 4 take away 5, can't do it. I steal, this becomes a 4, this becomes 14. 14 take away 5 leaves 9. 4 take away 7, can't do it. So I steal, this turns to a 5, and this becomes 14. 14 take away 7 is 7. 5 take away 3 is 2. I put back my decimal point. And 2 take away 1 is 1. So I was right. There are my 2 exchanges, and there's my final answer. Alrighty, so now it's time for the challenge. It says, Lexi, Ebo, and Rena are thinking of numbers. Lexi said, if I add 2.7 to my number, I get 7.3. Okay, I want to start thinking about that before I go any further. She said if she adds 2.7 to her number, so her mystery number, or question mark there, if she adds 2.7 to it, she is going to get 7.3. Okay, so that's what that means. Ebo said, I started with 12.65 and subtracted 3.92 to get to my number. Okay, so he started with 12.65 and he subtracted 3.92, and that gave him his mystery number. And finally, Rena said, if I add 1.23 to my number and then add 3.57, my answer is 12.04. So hers seems to be the most complicated. She said she starts with her number and she adds 1.23 and then she adds 3.57. She'll get 12.04. Okay. Before I go any further with this, what I want to do is work out what their mystery numbers are. The reason I'm doing this, even though I haven't looked at the question yet, is because it just helps me to understand what's going on better. And chances are at some point this question is going to ask me what their numbers are. And I think if I work this out, it's going to help me just be ahead of the game. So let me work this out before I read the questions. So Lexi's number first. Her mystery number plus 2.7 makes 7.3. For me to work out her number, I can just do the reverse to get to the beginning. So instead of adding 2.7, I can take away 2.7 from the end product, 7.3. So let me do that. 7.3, take away 2.7, and that's going to leave me with her number. Ooh, sorry about that line. 3, take away 7. Can I do that? Nope, because there's more on the floor. So I go next door and I get 10 more. That turns to 6. This becomes 13. 13 take away 7 is 6. 6 take away 2 is 4. So her mystery number is 4.6. How could I double check to see if I got the correct answer? Well, I can just say, is 4.6 plus 2.7 7.3? If I work that out, then I can confirm whether or not it's correct. For the sake of time, though, I'm not going to do that, but you can go ahead, pause, and check. Next, let's do Ebo's number. His is just a straight calculation. I don't have to do an inverse because he's given me the number sentence already. So I'm just going to stack it, 12.65, take away 3.92. 5 take away 2 is 3. 6 take away 9, can't do it. So I go next door, get 10 more. 16 take away 9 is 7. 1 take away 3, I can't do it. 11 take away 3 is 8. So his mystery number is 8.73. Again, I can double check it by doing the inverse. So I can say, is 8.73 plus 3.92 equal to 12.65? You can pause and check. Finally, Rena's number. Hers is the most complicated because hers is a two-step number sentence. She has her number plus 2 other numbers to get to the answer. So with Lexi's, I did the inverse. I subtracted to find out what the missing number at the beginning was. I can still do the same thing, but first I need to add these up. That way I can take it all away from 12.04. So let me add those up quickly. 1.23, 3.57. 7 and 3 is 10. 1, 2, 5 is 8. 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, so this is all equal to 4.80. So for me to find this number now, I can start with 12.04 and take this away to see what's left. Four take away 0 is 4. 0 take away 8, I cannot do it because there's more on the floor. 10 take away 8 is 2. 1 take away 4, can't do it. 11 take away 4 is 7. So Rena's number is 7.24. And I can double check by just sticking it up here and then finding out if it all adds up to give me 12.04. Now let's see what that question was. Can you believe we did all this work before getting to the question? I guess that's why they call it a challenge. It says, Ebo says that to work out Lexi's number, you need to subtract. He does the following calculation, and we can see his calculation off to the side. A, what mistake has Ebo made? Well, actually, I'm quite glad we did all this work now because I know what Lexi's number is supposed to be, and I can see Ebo did not get the same answer. When I look at it, I can see his 10th place is where he went wrong. Do you see what he did? It says 3 take away 7, but he put 4. To get a 4, he must have done 7 take away 3. So, for my answer to what mistake has Ebo made, he did 7 minus 4 in the 10th place. But he was supposed to regroup and find 13, take away 7. You see how I did that up here? I had to carry over from the ones place, and I made it 13, take away 7. So that was what his mistake was. So it paid off that I did this work. Now for B, it says, what are Ebo and Rena's numbers? Well, guess what? We solved that already. So all I have to do for B is write my answers, because all my work is at the top of my page. Ebo's number, 8.73, and all my work up there is up there to show what I did. And Rena's number is 7.24. And there we have it. The challenge is all done.
Now it's time for your independent work. Today your independent work comes from pages 21 to 23. I want everyone to do page 21 and to attempt everything on page 22. However, when you get to page 23, if you find the challenge extremely difficult, you don't have to do it. Remember, it is there to push you a little bit farther. However, I do want you to try the reflection, as always. You always do the reflection at the bottom of the page. When you're done, take a picture of your work and send it to me. Make sure you double check it before you send it. All right, you guys, stay safe and I'll see you soon.